everyone, welcome to the 420 Smoke Room. Today we're going to play a replay from earlier today when I was live on Ask Mary. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Ask Mary for a little sesh, and I am with Trisha Mullen from 420 Smoke Room and Christy Chapman from Chapman Health and Wellness. Hello, how are you guys doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I should say gals. Do you do that? I always say guys. How are you guys doing?
I don't know.
I think I say guys too.
Do you? I don't know what it is. I want to say hello gals, hello women. I don't know.
Well, hello
everyone.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Hi everyone.
That inclusive word, everyone.
Yes. So we are in the Ask Mary vibe tonight, and I'm sort of revamping the vibe a little bit and thinking about what we're going to do with it. Because Candace Dyer has left working on Ask Mary, and we miss her. Aww. Although I get to see her and talk to her all the time.
Right. But we miss her here on Ask Mary, that's for sure.
Yes, for sure.
What is the new plan over here?
On Ask Mary, I don't know. I mean, I think it could be like, I think originally we wanted it to be like a place people could do like question and answer, kind of, because there's video on there now. Winder was suggesting maybe some show and tell. I don't know.
Oh, that does sound interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. It would be good if somebody was interested in doing something with this. It's got about 140 people on the vibe right now already. Okay. So we can think about it. I don't know, if anybody out there is interested in creating it into something, feel free. I think Candace was doing a lot of like reporting about legalization news on here.
So a lot of activist type of things are already.
Yes.
Okay, definitely. Yeah. That's very interesting. Yeah. So what particularly do you want to discuss today then on it? Like what's the plan for today?
Well, I don't know. Originally I thought we can get on here, have a little smoke, maybe talk about our health stuff, and we can kind of ask each other questions too. So Christy, first of all, what are you smoking today? That's my first question.
I am smoking on some Maui Wowie.
Oh, Maui Wowie. Now, what is that? I don't think I've smoked that, believe it or not.
It's very tasty.
Yeah.
It is definitely good for relaxing the mind and slowing down the world for a few minutes so I can catch my breath. So I call that some good medicine.
Yes,
it sounds good.
Maui sounds like a great place to go. So when you're smoking it, are you picturing yourself on the beach or?
When I'm smoking it, I'm thinking about how I'm going to feel better in a little while, just a few minutes. Just being real frank, I got some health issues, a little headache today. But with cannabis, I'm able to get up every day, do what I need to do, and be able to relax. And I just, it works for me better than opiates. Mm-hmm. Not to say that I haven't used them, so I don't want anyone to think that that's a shameful thing. I actually kind of phase in and out of that. So cannabis really allows me to stay away from the pharmaceuticals, which for me did not serve my life well. I'm a much better person on cannabis, and I like it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you were saying that it helps you to relax and clear your mind a little bit. That's one thing that you're using it for. Are there other health issues that it really helps you with?
Well, today I'm struggling with my IBS. It's been a rough 2 days. That is the one pharmaceutical that I do have to take, is something to help the spasms.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I actually was sitting down at lunch today with some friends. I've had a pretty busy day for being down, actually, and I contribute that to cannabis. But was sitting down with some friends at lunch today, and we were just sharing how wonderful it is to have cannabis available. The person that I was having lunch with today is actually a 5-time cancer survivor.
Wow.
He's one of my close friends. And yeah, I won't talk too much about his life because that's not my position here. But it was just wonderful to share that cannabis is working for him as well. And pharmaceuticals have taken a lot of people on a dark path, and I'm just very fortunate to have cannabis and not be on that path. So it's really my journey to let people know that there's a different and better way. With the world the way it is, we're all struggling in one way or another. And cannabis allows me to take care of my health issues and allows me to get outside of myself and help other people. So to me, that's where I want to be, and so it takes me where I want to be.
Definitely.
Nice. Yeah. And you look like you were agreeing, Trisha.
Oh, I'm definitely agreeing. With her totally. Cannabis for me, I feel like has helped me with my medical battle far more than anything else. Being able to eat, being able to gain weight. I think I'm the heaviest right now I've ever been in my life, even though I'm still so tiny to people. But to me, I'm the biggest I've ever been. And that's due to cannabis, because with gastroparesis, it's like you're starving to death, literally, because you can't eat anything. And when you do, it spoils in your stomach and you vomit it back up. And it doesn't really go anywhere. And with IBS, it's like, even if it makes it that far, it's still, you're not getting nutrition through the whole system. And then, with the intercystitis for the bladder, it's really helped me as well, to where, like, just going to the bathroom and doing things that people do every day and take for granted when you're not a chronically ill person, where just getting your blood filtered through your body and your kidneys are in severe pain, just for your food to digest, just for your blood in your body to do that's everyday things. Marijuana has changed to where now it's not painful. Like, when my body's doing those things, I can now digest food and not scream and cry and, like, ask God why. Those type of things have tremendously changed for me. Being able to sleep at night because I'm not up all night in pain has been a big game changer for me altogether. There's numerous of things. Nauseousness, I can eat food and not vomit because of the nauseousness of the smell or the taste. I'm actually starving, like hungry, because of the munchies, not because I can't eat. You know what I mean? So it's a whole different type of starving, something that I had never really felt before. My sense of starving was a fear for eat. So, like, almost like people who are bulimic, where they put a fear for food. My issue was the fear of the pain, because it wasn't that I was forcing myself to throw up, but that pain itself is not a good feeling. Especially when your stomach is in excruciating cramps when you're digesting food. So it's really changed my digestive system, as well as my pain and my nerves. Like right now, my right thumb is like numb still from some issues I have going out with my nerves, and it's helped a lot with that. Every day, and I'll put like oils or tincture as well on it, and I can do a lot of different things. I feel like with cannabis, depending on which form I take it, whether it's smoking it, whether it's an edible, whether it's a tincture or a lotion, or bath salts for the feet. Constantly my feet are swollen from kidney disease, like no other.
Right.
And cannabis is literally my go-to in every form, from essential oils to CBD to I choose no pharmaceutical medications at this point. Thank God. As you and I were speaking the other day, for those who didn't hear, I was on a duffel bag of medications, and I was able to get myself off and get onto cannabis. And when I look at that duffel bag, it's a reminder of how far I've come from then till now. I just feel like there's still ways to go with managing my health because of the chronically ill. It's autoimmune disease. You have your good times and your bad times. Right now, I'm lucky to be in my good times and I'm young. But I know there'll be bad times, that cannabis won't be able to block it all. But it has been a true, true game changer. I
so
have
great.
no complaints.
Yeah, I'm so happy for you. And, like Trish and I did a vibecast the other day, and we were talking about, I was talking about how I've had to go back on some of the pharmaceuticals, but at first, I was really upset about it, but now I'm not. I mean, the one that I'm taking for the psoriatic arthritis, which had gotten really bad, and cannabis can manage all the symptoms, and sometimes I think I felt a little discouraged. I was hoping it was going to really heal it, so I wouldn't be in that cycle, But you just, you have to keep an open mind and realize that sometimes you need the pharmaceutical for a period of time. It doesn't mean it's going to be forever. Um, and um, and so, I did. I have started taking a biologic for the first time in years.
Right, but there's gonna be times,
but but the thing is, Angela was saying to me, my wife was saying to me, you have not complained about pain in the last week. You have not said it's not the pain that's bothering me. Now it's the emotional stuff that's bothering me. But the cool thing about cannabis is it can help with all of it. It may not be everything you need, but you have so many options. Like, I feel like it's still self-driven. Like, I'm gonna try all the cannabis and herbal options I can, and if it doesn't work, well, I can still go to a pharmaceutical if I need to. And
no, totally. And with autoimmune diseases, you have flares. So, like, if you're in a bad flare, sometimes cannabis isn't enough, like we were discussing, because you're constantly on it every day. Your body's immune to a certain level that when you have a super bad flare with autoimmune diseases, sometimes you do need to revert to a pharmaceutical. And it's very brave of you to know the difference of when you needed to and to be able to take that movement and choice, because a lot of people, you're suffering when you don't. So if you know your body is in a super bad flare at this point, a flare is the key word. Like, this too shall pass, and when it does, the medication can go with it. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, yeah, I know. Do you find that, Christy, too, for yourself?
Yes, and Wendy, I just think it's wonderful that you look for that balance, and that's really all we can do. So if it means that we get to use cannabis and less pharmaceuticals that is damaging to our body and to our kidneys, then it's that homeostasis and that happy place that we all have to look for. And I don't think that anybody else needs to or has the right to judge what another person does to make themselves comfortable and to try and find that sweet spot in life.
Right.
And
I think with chronic diseases, they can be devastating, and you have to really be careful that the cannabis is, if you're choosing cannabis and other herbs too, other natural remedies, that they really are working. Because, like, I know with psoriatic arthritis, I could have joint damage that they can't reverse. So I have to think about, is it really managing it, or do I need something else?
You're absolutely right with that. We were just saying that the other day with the kidney disease, same situation right now where I'm choosing cannabis over pharmaceutical, but in the long run, will I be getting more permanent damage or am I actually helping? It just depends on what's going on. So what I've noticed as well, the flares, if I have a really bad or my kidneys get to a certain level, or because kidney disease works in stages, so like when your levels are certain bad, you can tell. That's when I revert to pharmaceuticals, before dialysis. If they talk about dialysis, I just go on pharmaceuticals for a while, balance it back out. But
you're still in charge,
Yeah.
That's the cool thing. You're in charge,
Well, and then another really great thing nowadays is that doctors are listening to us.
They sure.
I have an appointment on the 4th for my yearly annual. I haven't seen my doctor since last year. And the first question she asks me is, how are things going with cannabis? She wants to know. So I feel that it's our responsibility to educate the doctors, and I feel very blessed that they are coming around, learning. 5 years ago, it was a different story. Mm-hmm. So we're living in a time where we don't have to lie to our doctors. We can let them know. One of the things, Tricia, that I just felt for you when you were talking about being able to keep food down, and that was my story with IBS, not as severe as yours. In the beginning of my journey, I had lost over 100 pounds in 9 months. I think it was 8 or 9 months.
Wow.
And I actually ended up on a CBD inhaler, and that month I gained 50 pounds. And when I went in to the doctor, the first thing he said to me was, "What did you do different in your cannabis use?"
Yep.
So they're learning, and I've had the same doctor.
When you said you lost 100 pounds, how small did you get, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, I'm an open book. I got down to 103 pounds, and anybody who saw me, who knew me, asked if I had cancer, if I was dying.
Yeah.
It felt like it. I just had no nutrition. I went from I went from over 200 pounds down to 103.
Yeah.
And to drink water.
I was
to drink water, I had to lay on the floor and just wait for the pain to come.
Oh my gosh.
So that was actually how I learned about dabbing. A lot of people are really just shocked to hear that I dab. But I was in the emergency room 3 times a week. And they wanted to give me narcotics, and I kept saying no, no, no. And I called a good friend and said, "Okay, I'm smoking. I'm using topicals. I'm in the emergency room, 3 times a week. What do I do next?" And bless his heart, they drove up from Salem and filled my kitchen table full of gadgets and oils, and I was sitting in a chair. I looked about 7 months pregnant, couldn't really walk, couldn't move my arms. It was too painful. And they taught me what dabbing is and heating cannabis oil up for severe pain control. And it was so interesting because somebody in the room said, "Well, how do we know when she's had enough?" And when I got up and started talking and flailing my arms about, telling a story, the friend that came up with the medicine said, "Our job is done."
Yeah.
And I didn't go to the emergency room that day. So yeah, our doctors are learning, and my doctor knows that I don't go to the emergency room. I haven't been there in a couple of years. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, being able to eat and have a little weight on is nice.
Yes, I know. Like, I was really in fear because, like, for me, when I was 75 pounds, they were trying to, like, make me get a feeding tube at the time, and I really did not want one. So it became a point of, how to gain weight as fast as I can in 30 days versus losing weight in 30 days. Like, most people's challenge is, how do you lose weight? And it's really odd because at the time I was selling weight loss products. It works products, but I truthfully, to God forbid I say this, but I wasn't on them. I was truthfully losing weight because of my diseases. It had nothing to do with the product. And later, when I'm trying to gain weight now, like, how do you, when you're 75 pounds, still push weight loss products? Like, you know what I mean? It, like, was not gonna work. And I had to, like, find a different job at the same time as learn how to gain weight, you know what I mean, and transition. So it's like everything at that time was, like, changing in my life,
Wow.
You're from your business.
75 pounds?
Yes, I was 75 pounds. I was in the hospital at the time for, in and out actually, for different procedures. And the gastroparesis was just too bad. And the Reglan wasn't working. None of the Zolfran wasn't working. Zolfran makes me sick, and it's supposed to not make you sick.
Right.
But I swear, it's like I take the anti-nauseous medicine, and that's like immediate throw up on point for me, though. You know what I mean? It does the complete opposite. But my body is actually like that with so many medications. I get every side effect. I get every opposite effect. Like, it doesn't actually, nothing works the way it's supposed to for me and my body. Like, literally every disease except for cannabis, and CBD, but except for, every other medication I've ever tried, I've had severe issues on, and I've got over like 30 diseases, and I've had more than 30 surgeries to fix things, and no matter how many surgeries I have, it's just, they're at this point, I've come to terms with the fact that chronically ill is forever, and that you just have to learn how to cope with it and how to work within your limits and manipulate the diseases and understand them scientifically, level wise. So like, I did a lot of genetic studying, I did a lot of autoimmune studying, I did a lot of RNA studies, and I literally learned how it turns into an RNA and where the mutations come into play, and that really helped me later into the cannabis world, into growing and knowing things, because I already had all of this knowledge from the disease world and the medical world. And every time I got a new disease, it was like I studied from head to toe, and I could tell you everything about the disease and how it works. And later, like, I just took all of this knowledge and kind of like applied it to where I am now with the cannabis, because cannabis runs so much like human DNAs and and genetics. It just became, I don't know, like easy per se.
Yeah, I mean, it is important to really know, if you are told you have something, to really learn all about it and all of the options. And cannabis offers so many different options to help. And I know for me, so like we were talking about, when you have a flare up and you may think about a pharmaceutical, there are long periods of cannabis really working too, which I missed that time, but I know it'll be back again. Where I just felt like I was on top of the world, and I knew exactly which strains would help, what forms would help, and how to just keep going and feeling really good. So I know that will be back, but when it's not here, I really feel that difference. What do you think, Christy? You look like you wanted to say something.
What I want to say is that when you do feel like that, I hope you know that you have a very large community behind you that wants to help you adjust and try new things. And as we come out with different cannabinoids and different formulations, there's a few things that I'd like to send your way and have you try. So I just want you to know that we adore you. We appreciate all you do. And, cannabis is here for you, but so is your community. And it's one of the most beautiful things. I come from community healthcare, as you do, Wendy, and Trisha, you belong here because you have the education. But true community is really what I have found in cannabis, and people that are trying to help others find answers. So it's been a great support for me.
Yeah.
And I so appreciate that, because being chronically ill is very, very difficult. For me, it's been 7 years, and the community has really supported me, and I want you to know that we are here to support you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do feel it. And I've been dealing with this stuff since my 20s, the illness, but I didn't start with cannabis until 2013, I guess. Yeah, 2013. I used cannabis when I was a teenager, and it definitely, I never thought of it as medicine. I smoked my first joint when I was 12, and I suffered a lot of trauma. It was a middle class family neighborhood, had everything it seemed, but there was a lot of abuse and things that people didn't know about. And
those darn middle class neighborhoods.
Yeah, right.
It came from that same neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. And people talk now about concerns about pedophiles, pedophile rings, all that. It was all there in the 70s. And so so I think cannabis helped me through all that. I mean, I was very focused, and I knew what I needed to do to get out of there, and I did it. I made sure I did really well in school. They told us cannabis would kill our brain cells and we wouldn't get anywhere, but I was smoking it all through high school, and I graduated in the top of my class. And I got a full scholarship to Boston University. That was my way out. That was what I saw as my way out. My family couldn't have afforded to send me, but I was determined. My grandma told me, I was a dancer when I was younger. My grandma said to me, Wendy, you're short and you fight with your weight, and you won't be able to support yourself. It'll be hard for you. So get a degree with something that you can be independent. Never depend on a man. Always depend on yourself. And I was upset with her, man. Because I really wanted to dance. I'm an artist, by nature, and but she was right. She was right about all of it. And thank you, Rose. And so cannabis helped me through, and it helped me to stay focused. All the things they taught us about in school, I did not find to be true even then. And it wasn't killing my brain cells. It wasn't bringing me to other drugs, because all around me it was drug culture. Everybody, all my friends were doing everything, but all I wanted to do was get a little high. I drank a little bit, but anyway, and then I left it behind. I went into healthcare, and and I had lots of employees that I had to have drug tested. didn't take them if they were hot THC or other things. But I was on Vicodin and plenty of stuff through those years that if they drug tested me, they accepted because I had a prescription, right? But the person next to me using cannabis would be dismissed or couldn't have a job. Right. So I think about all those things, and I revisited cannabis when I was so sick and almost died, and then lived, but was on 16 drugs and completely snowed all the time. So I've kind of been in and out of it, but the chronic illness really started in my 20s, from the psoriatic disease, psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis, asthma, major asthma problems, migraines, the list was endless. So I was on pharmaceuticals. It just got more out of hand as I got older.
Yeah.
And isn't that funny how they'll let us go to work?
Yeah, right.
And they know that we have been in a car accident and are still on, XYZ. My story is that I was working in the ICU and I took myself off. I just knew that I was at a place where I was depending on pain medication enough that if I made a mistake, I couldn't.
Right.
I've been comfortable with that. My voice is shaking.
Yeah.
So yes, I had to make the decision, and it breaks my heart because the healthcare system needs us, Wendy, and I'm not on any pain medicine, and I certainly have a clear head and work, full days now. So cannabis has put me back in the workforce. So maybe one day there won't be nurses, healthcare people taking care of us that are on opiates and dangerous medicines. That they could be managing that on their off time,
right?
Fully available for their duties.
Yeah, I think about that too, because I was an area director for a rehab company, and I was just telling my friend this yesterday. I remember like driving for hours to go like to different facilities. I had different facilities in different states. I was like Massachusetts, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, even. Like I was driving or flying all the time. And I would have coffee, a cigarette, and pop a Vicodin while I'm driving, like seriously, and then go into a facility and work. That was the only way that I could do it. I had these health problems then. It wasn't until I had the major illness that it pulled me out, but I had been dealing with it for years. And that's what we've got. I'm not alone. Like there were many nurses, every
Many,
yeah,
many, many.
You're
yeah.
absolutely right,
And
both of you.
and it was also for me. I was going downstairs to the physician of the hospital, and he was the one prescribing me my pain medicine.
Right.
And then I would go back upstairs to my shift.
Yes. Yeah.
So it was acceptable, and as long as you didn't have THC in you, you were okay.
Isn't that crazy? What do you think, Trish? I mean, you've been in and out of the hospital. Like, have you ever thought about that? Health professionals also taking the...
Oh, definitely, yes. And, I've also thought exactly what you said. Like, people that are behind the counter at certain facilities, it's okay for them to be on it. But then being on the other side, you're not going to give me the job because I consume the same product you consume and you're working here. So I could get where they're feeling like the pressure of discrimination onto them. But then I also get where if it's not prescribed to you, hey, it's not my fault that on your end that it's prescribed to you. If you want to be able to take and consume this medicine, get it the right way, get it prescribed to you. The same way with cannabis, where it kind of sucks where right now it's legal for me, but it's not legal for you, Wendy. It's legal for me. I can go and buy it at the store, at the dispensary in any way, shape, or form, and I don't even need a license. I just need a Michigan State ID. And that's all I need, and I need to be 21. So I'm good to go, where you have to jump through hoops and you have to break laws. And so it's kind of like you've been on both sides, and other people have it with both drugs, whether it's a pharmaceutical or cannabis. I think it sucks for all parties because we should all be created equal and not say like who's discriminated on this one or that way. It should all be equal. So if we're accepting cannabis as a medication, the same way, then my nurse should be able to be on cannabis instead of opiates. Well, if she can be on an opiate while she's taking care of me, why can't she be on a cannabis as a patient? I feel like
right. It's so true.
Your level to function on a cannabis is a lot better than your level to function on a narcotic, even a Vicodin, for instance. And then it goes by weight. So let's talk about your weight compared to my weight. It's going to take the amount of your dose is going to be a higher dose, but a dose is a dose. So you're just going to get a higher amount, which means you're going to be higher because I'm at a lower dose. So you're telling me she can work on 1,200 milligrams of narco or 1,000 milligrams of narco every 4 hours, but I'm supposed to only be able to work on 500 milligrams of narco every 4 hours. So now we've got a discrimination in our weight as well, but it's still the same amount of drugs that we're consuming, where cannabis is, we can all pass the same joint and it doesn't matter our weight size. We're all going to have an effect. It doesn't mean, oh, well, she smokes more because she's heavier and she gets less because she's lighter. And this one gets, 2 hits. She's a newbie. So like, like it doesn't work. Like I feel like there's so much still to be worked out in those elements and balances with the cannabis and with pharmaceuticals, and that there shouldn't be any discrimination when it comes to like the cannabis on drugs. For out here, Oakland County, Michigan, we have a law that actually went into effect. We're ahead of our time, I feel like, compared to everywhere else. So we have a law that's actually already in place that you can't discriminate. So I can go into that same office that you used to work at if you were here, take that same drug test, and now look at you in your face and tell you, you still have to hire me for cannabis because it's against the law. Now for that narco or that Vicodin that's not prescribed, then you can decline me. But for cannabis right now, there's a no discrimination policy in Oakland County, and you can go in, and you can also be a felon with marijuana in your system and still get the job.
Oh, that's good, really. I mean, that's a whole nother story that irks me, that people can't get hired. They already served their time, like whatever.
Yes, but we're above our time though with our laws. I feel like where we've already started putting so many things into place. And that actually happened in the beginning of the pandemic because so many people were unemployed that cannabis went up when it went recreational, that we got into that borderline level of well, if it's recreational and anybody can have it, how can we discriminate on jobs now? Because now
Right.
nobody can get a job. And then so part of the unemployment factor here in Michigan was the cannabis transition mixed with the pandemic. So at this point, certain states and certain counties that have higher number of people lifted the mandate where there actually is dispensaries. So if dispensaries are located in your city and in Michigan, those are the cities that they lifted the employment rates because more people in that county are able to get it, and now we have to keep the economic factor because the economy drops when no one's working, and unemployment is running out of pandemic funding to where it's now unemployment money, and they don't want to pay stoners to stay home and not go to work because you got pot in your system.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, here, they have medical, we have medical here, but not recreational. Yeah. And I don't know that it'll ever pass, honestly, based on, definitely they're going to keep fighting grow rights here, which is just horrible, because grow rights, I feel, are essential so that people can grow what they really need and use the raw cannabis and all of it, But yeah, and there's still can tell you can't, even if you have a medical card, they can still discriminate and not hire you. Okay. Even with a medical card.
Yes, that's because it's a prescription. Yeah. So here we were like that as well. But once it became recreational, every state that is recreational now has that big window to where I don't even have to tell you because it's recreational that I'm on it because of the HIPAA law. So there's a catch-22 there. So each state is like taking that ripple effect because they're becoming unemployed states because that opportunity is now majorly enforced because we've always enforced it. It's just the level of people that we're enforcing it to has changed, and now there's no jobs.
Yes. I think it's definitely, there are states like, for instance, Oklahoma, where it's all included in the law. In fact, I wish states would model after Oklahoma because they really thought of everything. Now, of course, in their legislature, they're trying to change some of it. I hope that doesn't happen because they really did think of everything, and also licensing for dispensaries and cultivators are inexpensive enough for most people if they want to follow that path. And so I feel like they at least have most of that. But Christy, where you are, can they not hire you because of cannabis?
No, I don't believe so.
No, okay. That's good.
I know that I know Oregon and Washington is working on laws, but not as yet.
Yeah, so that's good.
And so there is medical where you're at, Wendy. Is that accessible? Is that fairly accessible?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think most people, if they want a card, they can get one. In some of the more rural areas, it may be a little more difficult to find a physician that will do it. But when I was first, working on all that here, when I was still had the nonprofit and we were helping people to get their card for free if they couldn't afford it, I was contacting all the different doctors and they would donate visits. So it's become even more accessible because the price has come down. When they first rolled it out, it was like $250 plus to get a card.
How much is it now?
Which is really robbery, in my opinion.
I think that's what I paid 7 years ago in Oregon.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was, there was a doctor's fee. Yeah.
There's a state fee too, but
there were a lot of fees. Yeah, I just remember when I was sick, I did not have the money.
Yeah, I didn't have the money. I had to scrape to get the money together. That's why when I started the nonprofit, that was one of the things that I wanted to do, was make sure that everybody could get a card if they needed to. So I went to, we operate in 4 states, and I would just contact all the different physicians and see who was willing to donate any visits per month. And so we had 10 to 12 visits that we could give to people. So people would apply, and then we would get them a free visit. So,
that's amazing.
And that is very cool.
Yeah, it was great. I feel bad. We closed at the start of the pandemic-ish, in 2020 we closed. And that's one of the programs that people still ask me about. And do I know anyone else who does that? And I don't.
So I have a question, really, maybe for you. Here in Michigan, when we first started like making it medically legal, I don't know, like 5 years or 6 years ago or something like that, they had a program where Social Security, if you were on Social Security, it was only $75 to get your card instead of like the other fee. And now I think it's 25 because it's gone down a lot here in Michigan.
Yeah.
I think it's 25 for a 2-year or something, 50 for like a 4-year or something like that.
That's
card.
Great.
But Social Security takes the deductible. Like there's a program. I'm not sure what that program is, but obviously Social Security it's federally through the state, though. It's state, but it's federally funded before it goes to the states. Even though the federal is against it, they're obviously co-signing it for disabled because they pay for the card here in Michigan. They pay for a portion. Like you apply, you show them the stuff, then you get like your discount. And obviously when discounts are given, someone's paying or taking a tax write-off for that discount. And it's the Social Security. So as long as you can prove that you're on Social Security, you fill out the form, and then your card is this amount if you're disabled, and if you're not, then it's another amount. But it's through Social Security. There was a program, and the state of Michigan offers the form.
Yeah, I wonder. I'd be surprised if Social Security was paying any of it because it's still federally illegal. But the state might be compensating, or maybe they're just giving the discount. I know here at the dispensaries, if you are an SSDI, you can show them your letter and they'll give you a discount at the dispensary.
See, that's amazing. We don't have that here, but we do have 2 different fees. One's for recreational, has really high taxes. So for instance, if you went and got like $150 in weed, you're going to pay $175 to $180, $85. An additional like 30. It's like you can almost buy a whole nother eighth with the amount of what you're spending. And then if you have a medical card, then you pay regular. Like the taxes are like a couple bucks, like 2 or 3 regular state taxes, as if you're buying any regulatory good. But when it's recreational, there's 3 times or 10 times. It's like really a large amount of taxes per. It's not worth it because the license is $100 and something bucks. So it's like you save more than that a year just by having your card with the discount, like a Sam's Club membership.
Right. Here, the tax, it's only medical, and it's 13% tax. Crazy. Yeah,
we're higher than that for
medical, though. I mean,
recreational. It's like 2 times that. And then medical it still has a high, but it's double. So when it goes recreational, medical will still have that 13, and then it'll be like 25 or something like that percent for recreational use.
I don't think it should be even taxed. What other medicine is taxed? If you think about it, there's no other medicine that's taxed. So
don't get me started on taxes and medicine, you guys.
Right.
Female medicine versus male's medicine, even.
I know.
Yes.
It's more expensive.
We'll just stay on cannabis taxes.
I still agree. So, if you don't mind me asking, what do you all battle with? If Christy?
Mine is fibromyalgia and IBS.
Okay. Awesome. Well, not awesome. I'm sorry. And I know both of those.
And I'm celiac.
Okay, celiac. So you tested positive for celiac when they did the test, or how did that
tested? I didn't need to test.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't. I just If I can go through a bakery and breathe, and I'm down for 3 days.
Oh Lord, is that bad?
Yeah.
So I got a question for celiac. Does that come in flares too? Like, if you did test, like hypothetically, could you test negative but actually have celiac?
Yes.
See.
Yes.
I didn't know that, but I've been tested for celiac multiple times.
For me,
but it was never positive. But I've been tested multiple times, and every time I go in for my gastroparesis, they always think it's celiac. But then they always do the test, and it never comes back positive. Like I feel like they're waiting for it to say positive one day.
Are you gluten free?
I'm not. I don't follow a celiac diet because I've never tested positive. But there are certain glutens that irritate me. But I don't know if that has to do with the gastroparesis or the IBS. Like, there's so many other entities, but I've never tested positive for celiac. But I do have other digestive diseases in all my other organs. Yes.
I would encourage you. I know that you've had a lot of people give you, advice or try this, but if you're having difficulty with your digestive system and you're not eating gluten-free, I would encourage you to at least look at it again.
Mm-hmm. So what was your experience with changing? Like when you change it, what do you notice differently? Did it help your IBS as well?
The vomiting mostly.
Do you vomit foam when you're not like? I know this sounds like I sound weird, but I vomit foam still every day, even though I'm not throwing up anymore, and I can't figure out which disease is creating the foam, but it's white foam every morning.
I'm not a medical doctor.
Weird.
Yeah.
but I really can't figure it out, and neither could the doctors every time I do it.
Yeah, you're gonna make me put on my medical hat, and I'm gonna start saying things, and we're gonna lose listeners.
All right, let's change this topic. But I do inbox me later if you think of one for that.
Yes,
I really
that could be indicative of IBS.
Okay. All right.
I am familiar with that, and a buildup.
Yes.
And once you release that, the pressure goes down.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. I can just suggest. I can actually go gluten-free, really good care of myself, lots of fluids, rest, all of that, and less work. But I can actually get myself to a place where I can have a good week. Right now I'm looking at food sensitivity testing in that I feel I'm just not getting healthy enough.
I was going to say, because sometimes, like I have a sensitivity to wheat. I don't have celiac, but I have a sensitivity to it. So I try to limit or not. For a long time I didn't eat it at all, but now I do eat some. I just really limit. I kind of had to be free of it for a little while and then see kind of what I could do. But I'm sensitive to other things too. Actually, when I had those sensitivities done, I was eating sprouted bread, right? Which I love sprouted bread, and it's better for you. And it's, I'm diabetic too, so it was better, right? My younger son, hates sprouted bread and would give me a hard time about it all the time. So Antonio's like, just get me some white bread. I want white. Like my kid wants white bread. I'm like, are you kidding me? So then one day I ate a piece of it and I choked on it. And he was like, Emma, I knew that bread was going to kill you. Don't eat that bread. But it was just too dry, But then when I did the sensitivity testing, they told me that I was sensitive to sprouted bread. So I don't eat that anymore.
So it was the bread.
Yeah, right. There was a lot. I mean, it was just so funny, because he just didn't. We fought about food all the time when he was a teenager. He's 21 now, but his other mom is eats like a standard American diet, And here I am, like I go in and out of being vegan, vegetarian. I eat a lot of vegetables, quinoa, all these things that he just thought were just insane. Like, give me a meat sandwich on white bread.
I was going to say a meatloaf sandwich on white bread.
Yeah, some kind of meat on white bread, or just like breaded baked chicken and carrots cooked to death and all that. And that's fine, whatever people like, but that's not how I would eat. So, and I had to really tweak my diet a lot. That diet is a huge thing with chronic illness.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Trisha, here's a question for you.
Okay.
When you're in the kitchen cooking and you smell foods, spices, do you get nauseated?
I used to, but not with cannabis anymore because I'm always smoking when I'm cooking. So, no, not anymore. But I used to get nauseated to certain smells of foods or things as well. But that's like part of the anxiety. You know how your mind plays a big role. But when you smell the food and you kind of develop a fear, like, oh, it smells so good, but oh my God, I know I'm going to hurt when I go to eat it. So you start developing like a pain already just by the thought of the food because the smell made those sensations kick in, and thoughts. But now I don't anymore, but I used to heavily.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about it can do it for me.
Wow.
It can be a brain
trigger. It gets my it's my anxiety going, and fear of food. It's real.
It definitely is. So I
never thought I would say that.
I have a fear with hamburger meat. So because of the gastroparesis, hamburger meat doesn't digest. It's the longest meat and it stays in your stomach the longest. So when it spoils, it also creates the worst bugs per se, or mold and bacteria as well. So like with gastroparesis, it can stay down there for 6 months, 3 months, 90 days, like so, and it's really painful until it gets out, and then it's taken up room in your actual stomach that could be having other foods. So I realized I had to eliminate all red meat, and I only eat chicken or turkey now, and once in a while salami on like a cold cut, like with a sandwich in a lunch meat form. And I'll vary meat sometimes with my lunch meat, but if it's not in a lunch meat form, I really stick to chicken or turkey, because once in a while I might go to a steak, but they hurt and they bother me and I can't digest them right, and then they take forever to digest, and then they spoil, and I create myself a sickness, and I create a flare, I realize, by the elements of what I'm putting in. So changing my diet was mandatory with cannabis, because no matter how much cannabis you smoke, it doesn't kill bacteria.
Right. And, the food is medicine, I mean, that's, on my show, we talk about that a lot.
Yes, but it can be toxic, I had to realize. And so you have to realize which ones are medicine for you and which ones are toxic for you.
Which may be different for you than for me or for Christy.
Absolutely.
We have different sensitivities. Sometimes people think, oh, well, if we all eat these certain things, and they may be healthy, so-called healthy things, right? But maybe not for Christy, it's not healthy. And so you really have to really explore that too. To me, cannabis is like a building block. It's like, it can be a starting point for health and wellness for people. Once you realize that's medicine and you figure out how it works with you, then you're really thinking about food and moving your body and what is my mind thinking, and all these things. And I feel like cannabis opens that door.
It does. It opens that psychological part of your brain that allows those fears to go away, which is a big part, because your brain is so powerful that you can create your illness to flare even more just by the anxiety you have with your illness. So it's really important. Cannabis helped me with that. And then cannabis really does help with the actual side effects of your illnesses, and learning when's the best time to use them, and learning like the boundaries of where it can help, where the help starts and where it ends is important to me. To where you just learn what's going to work for you. And for me, cannabis is definitely my go-to. I like hybrid versions because I feel like indica and sativa helps only half of my body. It just depends, because most of my diseases are like autoimmune. So the hybrid hits both. I really love hybrid more than indica or sativa.
Most of them are hybrid now. It's hard to find any straight indica sativa, but I feel you. I mean, I started posting on social media when I'm having difficulties with different diseases. I didn't used to. For a long time, I didn't post about it. And what I realized is that people need to hear both sides of it. I think it's really important not to just say, oh, I reduced pharmaceuticals, I started on cannabis, and go me, I'm perfect. Because that's not true.
No, it's not.
And, I think when people hear about the trials and tribulations and trying different foods and trying different exercises and trying different strains, they realize, we're human and we had good experiences that changed our lives, but it's not the end of the story.
You're absolutely right. And it's odd that you mentioned that, not talking about it for so long, because I'll be honest, on Facebook, I made myself for so many years like a Betty Crocker version, where I didn't speak about cannabis. When I did start using cannabis, I didn't talk about it. I wouldn't talk about my health issues with people. I would always post, I'm going to have a surgery, but I wouldn't say the surgery or what it was. Only the people that I privately associated would even know my struggles or battles. And on Facebook, I never posted pictures of me sick or like recovering from surgeries, because I always was taught like Facebook is where we're supposed to be Betty Crocker. But then I kind of, once I got into the actual cannabis community, I realized everyone is acting like they're so like cannabis cured them, and I realized I never really did talk about my diseases either, which is why I did both podcasts that I started, because I wanted to share with others and what they were going through and what I was going through. Because when you do all this research on a disease and you're studying, like, you got a diagnosis today, you don't know what the heck this is, the doctor just told you blah blah blah, it felt like a foreign language. You know, you get on the internet, you start looking, everyone makes it either look like they're super sick or they're super cured, and there is no in between, but there definitely is. And I really like that you and I bring that element to where you can, you know, there's going to be good days, there's going to be bad days, but through it all, cannabis is really there for us.
Right, know? Right. Christy, do you talk about the trials on your social media?
Not as much as I should. Yeah.
It's hard. It is hard.
It is hard.
Yeah. I think especially when, I know, like, you know, we try to do different projects and we're trying to accomplish certain things. So I don't know. It's weird. I was like that too, Trisha, where I would like tell people close to me, but not on social media. I don't want to tell my whole life story. I mean, I do have that in me where I'm like, I don't know. Some things are private, but I think, like recently with the PTSD and anxiety issues I'm having, which have been really significant for the first time in a long time, I think I wanted to tell people too, because I had this sense that others were going through the same thing. And what I found is that a lot of people right now are really suffering. If they already have PTSD and anxiety and depression, they are really suffering. So I don't know what's going on exactly. I think we've had 2 years of being traumatized over the pandemic. We've had then jump into this war in the Ukraine, which hits all of us because of, fighting for democracy. And, I'm at the tail end of the baby boomers where, Russia was like the scary entity, right? And here we are, and even if I don't necessarily think that way, like, it's like, whoa, like we're I was home almost 2 years, really mostly home. And then this war that we're not going to be able to stop, right? And watching, my family, part of my family came from the Ukraine, and so I'm like thinking about my Nana and that whole part of my family and looking at these people who look like my family. I'm not the only one that feels that too. There's like this, so I think there's all that, and then there's personal stuff. We're all going through our own stuff. Everybody. It's been a hard couple of years for everybody. So I think I'm glad I've spoken up about it. It is hard though. Like, we're strong women. We want to be seen as strong, right?
Yes, but to be honest, so someone who, so I don't know how to properly word what I want to say, but so I'm just going to say it how I say it. So my daughter was diagnosed with PTSD, and when she was, I knew some about it, and I thought I knew what it was being so smart in the medical field. But then when you're living with it firsthand, as watching someone you love suffer with it, trying to be there and be their support system without the proper education is a different learning experience, because the raw details that you're living, people don't discuss. So when someone is discussing it and explaining the coping mechanisms that they use during those trials and tribulations, you really don't realize the people you are helping, because some people who don't have PTSD are the lovers of, or the parents of, or the support system of someone who is suffering. And someone with PTSD can't always help themselves when they're having a flare, because they're not mentally in their right self at that moment, that you need someone who is sane to be there to help them and support them at that time. And if they don't, as the person who's the helper, if you don't understand what it is to help, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And not knowing makes you like just standing there like a door. You're just like, you're useless. You're not, so there goes your support system. Even though they're there, they're not actually there because they don't have the tools they need and they're not equipped. So getting that knowledge out to some people is important, because I literally had to get all of the skills to be a good parent to my child who is now suffering and help her with these coping mechanisms through the internet and through not personal people experiences, but once I started talking about it, I realized people very close and near to me suffer as well. But I can call them anytime privately and get any information I want, but I can't go to them publicly. And as much as they help me, if they could help others, that would be amazing. But it's those private conversations that you make public, just like these ones we're having now, that actually change and make a difference. Whether it's cannabis related or medical related, I feel like there's so much education in both fields that I would discuss it. I would talk about your trials and tribulations, because that's what makes you real. And not, life isn't perfect. Life isn't Mary Poppins or Martha Stewart, and it doesn't, that is not the generation we live in now, where we're all made to be perfect. And if you are, then I shouldn't believe you.
Like, Chris, do you?
Nobody's perfect, that's for sure.
Yeah, if you're too good to be true, I should walk away.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I think, like you said, Christy, the community is here for us, and it's important to talk about it.
It is.
Did you want to say something else, Christy? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, I was just going to thank you for sharing that experience, because it did bring community together. It did help others that were suffering. And so having a voice and being able to help others is a pretty good way to live.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
That's a great way to end. It is a great way to live. We've been chatting for an hour. I can't believe it.
It doesn't feel like it when it's a good conversation.
Yes, thanks for seshing with me, and I will have to do it again sometime.
Definitely.
And so, Christy, do you want to mention your vibe for people if they want to follow?
Yes, Chapman Health on the Relevnt app. Please come and join us. We like to keep our vibe high.
Yes.
Definitely.
Excellent. Chapman Health and Wellness, please give that a follow. And Trisha, you have a couple of vibes, I think.
Yes, I have the 420 Smoke Room, and I also have Sprinkle Some Love with a Cause. Sprinkle Some Love with a Cause is a nonprofit organization / medical podcast. And then Cannabis podcast is the 420 Smoke Room, where we talk about cannabis. We have influencers. We have music on there randomly with different rappers that are associated with cannabis as well. And we talk about whatever comes to mind on the 420 Smoke Room. Normally it's cannabis related / medical, for sure. We share people's stories, and I'm really excited about what we have coming up with the National Kidney Foundation. I'll be working with a guy who works with them over there doing kidney disease awareness, and we'll be doing 30 different podcasts with people who have kidney disease who are searching for kidneys. So
Wonderful.
We're going to look for 30 different donors.
I love it. That's
I'm
fantastic.
Really excited about that. And I got the High Times the High Times editor guy on Tuesday. I'll be interviewing him. He's the former editor of High Times magazine and of Hemp Times magazine, and he's also a Native American organization he helps work with, I believe. I don't know I think it's the AIM organization.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah,
we'll check that out in the 420 Smoke Room. And I have Weed Speak on the Relevnt app. We've got a bunch of stuff coming up this week, so check the events schedule. Tomorrow evening, we're doing our first Cannabis and Tarot cards with Weed Mama, and she's going to be doing that once a week, actually. So please check that out. Farmer Tom will also be on tomorrow evening, and we've got a bunch of stuff all week. Christy, I think you have a vibe on Weed Speak on Thursday.
Ooh.
Yes. So
Thursdays at noon. Yes. We're on the West Coast.
Pacific. Yeah, noon
Pacific time. Get high at noon.
Yes.
Get high at noon. I like her vibe. I love how she's. I think I'm going to tune into that.
Nice. And
please do.
And I don't know if you've followed that one yet. Take a look at it.
I don't, but I am about to, because I really like her. I love when I come on with you, Wendy. You introduce me to the awesomest people, I swear.
Wonderful. That's great. And let's see what else. Tonight, Angela and I will be on WJAE 420 Vibe for tea time. We do that every Sunday night at 8 o'clock, and we just talk about family stuff, cannabis, dogs, I don't know, whatever we want to talk about.
Well,
you never know what we're going to talk about, actually. So that's Sunday nights at 8, WJAE420.com, or on the Relevant app, WJAE420 Vibe. And the Wendy Levette Show comes out on Wednesdays. So,
alrighty. Well,
thank you so much, you two. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies. What a great hour.
Yes, we'll be back on Ask Mary another time. You never know what's going to happen over here. All right. Good night, everyone. Bye.
Good night. Thank you for tuning in to the 420
I ended it. That was great. Thank you.